Hello, and welcome to my training module, Avoiding Burnout, Embracing Balance, and Looking to Society. Burnout is a very strong word. What do you think about when you hear it? Most stories that I heard were things like Ariana Huffington breaking her cheekbone falling asleep at her desk, or people getting laid off because they no longer showed the drive or results that they were hired for. Or people leaving their professions to find themselves because they forgot to check in search of their career. Hospitalizations and termination are extreme products of burnout. But honestly, there are so many layers to burnout that have been identified. Herbert Freudenberger and Gail North have published 12 stages to burnout. The first is the compulsion to prove oneself. Developing an unnecessary need to show your worth and enthusiasm for a job to impress others. The second is working even harder, searching for an insatiable need to fulfill your desire to prove yourself results in an inability to know when to stop. The third is neglecting needs. When you start to prioritize work over everything else, other things start to give, like your sleep schedule, appetite, and social connection. The fourth is the displacement of conflicts. When work comes first, you allow other problems to seem minuscule. When others approach us about these issues, we blow them off. Nervous that attention to anything else will take away from your work. 5 is the revision of values. When work is the only focus, you start to forget your values, purposely set them aside so you don't have to spend time on them. Everything else, including what makes you you, becomes secondary or even tertiary to getting that work done and impressing others. The 6th stage is the denial of emerging problems. This is the displacement of conflicts taken to the next level. Anything that affects your productivity is deemed as negative and unworthy of your time. Every issue, including personal ones, are wrongly contributed to your lack of flexibility at work. The 7th stage is withdrawal, a loss of social constructs and a desperation to relieve stress. This leads to stage 8, odd behavioral changes, a dependence on substances not usually used or rarely used. Others begin to show serious concern at this stage. 9, depersonalization. No sense of self or need for self-awareness and regulation. The 10th stage is inner emptiness, feeling lost and leaning heavily on bad behaviors. The 11th stage is depression. You have a loss of traction in life and work. You're consistently exhausted, and your future is no longer hopeful. It's continually bleak. The 12th and final stage is burnout syndrome. This is where you have mental and physical handicaps. You mentally and physically collapse. Medical attention is required. Now that we've seen this spectrum, at some point or another, or maybe even more than just a point, we've all been at risk for burnout. It is so important that we stop and take inventory of ourselves on a daily basis before we reach a point like Vanessa Loder did. She came to a halt in her career because she never stopped to think about herself or her values while performing her job, and she proclaimed, "Crap, I climbed the wrong ladder to success," resulting in a breakdown, or what Brene Brown's therapist calls a spiritual awakening. Kevin Cashman, author of Leadership from the Inside Out, has 10 principles of resilience mastery. The first is being purposeful about why we are busy. If you don't ask yourself this why question, you might as well be an ant. Just busy, never really knowing why. Just for survival, doesn't matter. Ask yourself this why question. Be motivated to be busy. Know your purpose for that busyness. The second principle is energy management. Doing everything possible to keep our energy level higher and more abundant than challenges that we face is key to resilience. Exercising with purpose and priority. Did you know that Thomas Jefferson, President, Secretary of State, inventor of loved things, exercised and stressed exercise for 2 hours every day? We can hardly even commit 20 or 30 minutes every day, but it's so important that we do. We need to find what brings us joy. We can't just do things that take our energy further from us. We need to know why. Ask that why question. Why are we exercising? Why do we want to be healthy? Why do we want this energy? And have reasons like you want to meet your grandchildren one day. You want to be able to run 5Ks, triathlons, marathons, to be able to raise money for the less fortunate. Or it can be simple enough as you just need more endurance to make it day to day. The next principle that Cashman talks about is admitting and defeating your draining habits. Know what they are, know what they're taking away from you, and take the responsibility to change them. Also, the next principle is find a balance in your lack of self. Cashman talks about treating life like a play. Concern yourself with the plot, care about what your impact is on the other characters, but find humor and lightheartedness and humility in everything that you do. Don't take life too seriously. Listen to your body and mind. Our body sends us signals all the time. How often do you listen to your signals? How often do you take care of the things that are wrong when your body sends you signals the first time? How far does your body have to take these signals in order for you to react? The next principle is have a realistic idea of stress. Know what you can control, know what you can influence, and accept the things that you cannot. Prioritize the people who care for you. They'll be honest with you. They may know what you need in times of struggle more than you even know. They might be what you need. Prioritize spending time with your loved ones. They can be exactly what you need to gain energy back in your days, to have a new perspective, to see the sun shining tomorrow. The second to last principle is to take real vacations. How many of us take time off of work to catch up on work? How many of us skip class because we didn't finish the assignment? Go to a health spa. Take a retreat. Vacation by yourself. And the last thing that he suggests, which leads into the last principle, is take a digital fast. So, principle number 10, meditate and have me time where you're unplugged. Spend time with yourself. You need to pay attention to what it means for you to be a human being. Those are the 10 principles that he outlines in his Resilience Mastery chapter. However, Cashman went the extra mile. Most research and publication about burnout that I have seen has simplified the burnout evasion process to just 3 steps. I generalized the 3 steps because the 3 people that shared their version of the 3 steps, they all articulated it a little differently. However, they all kind of fall into the same 3 steps. So I call the 3 steps identification, action of persistence, and adaptability. The first step is identification. Recognize and release. See a stressor and don't allow it to create the stress more than it needs to. Loader says that you don't need a Herculean effort for everything. Ask yourself those what if questions. What if I didn't go the extra mile? What if I asked somebody else to do this step? What if I assembled a team? What if I left today on time and maybe came in a little earlier to have the product finished with fresh eyes? Kahn's major key, number 1, is turning bad stress into good stress. So we have to redefine it. The first definition that he gives us that most people see and hear all the time is the result produced when a structure, system, or organism is acted upon by forces that disrupt equilibrium or produce strain. How negative is that? That's crazy negative. Of course we're going to see stress in a bad light if that's how we look at it. We're never going to want to take on stress if it's going to affect our equilibrium. Change your definition. Stress should be a measurement of how engaged you are with the things that bring love and growth into your life. That's amazing. Change it into good stress. If I get this assignment done, I can go home to my kids today, on time, before they go home from school maybe. If I can finish this report or this project, I get to go to my boss's birthday celebration. That's exciting. That's a good motivator and good productive anxiety to get the job done. The ability to reframe a situation from one in which you are experiencing bad stress to one where you are experiencing good stress is enough to change your opinion, mood, attitude in that moment. In AIR, Tink says the A is for aspirations. Much like Kahn, it's in the perspective. Working hard for something we don't like is called stress. Working hard for something that we love or care about, it's called passion. The second step is the action of persistence. It is the recognition of change that must happen to overcome the stress, regardless of any failure. You get back up and try again. That is why Loader's second step is self-compassion. She gave a funny anecdote about 3 focus groups given chocolate cake. And their goal was to resist that. There were 3 focus groups: compassion, shame, and control. The compassion group that was given a message that it'd be okay, forgive yourself, however you want to approach this piece of cake is okay. They were 4 times more likely to resist the cake than the group that got the message, if you eat this piece of cake, you failed today. If you eat this piece of cake, you should feel shameful. Your body image will change. Whatever message they got, she didn't go that deep. However, it was a shame message. And the compassionate group was 4 times more likely to resist the cake than those who got that shame message. What's even more intriguing, Loader said this, and I agree with her, is that the control group, who didn't receive any message at all, was still twice as likely to resist the cake. We are better off not doing anything, not telling ourselves a darn thing, than criticizing ourselves, being shameful and harsh. So why not, when we know we're going to tell ourselves something, be compassionate? I forgive myself for eating this piece of cake. I really felt like I deserved it. I forgive myself for not finishing this report today. I worked really hard, and there's no reason that I couldn't have finished it today, but I'll finish it tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. That will increase productivity by 4 times. Khan's major key number 2 is striving to be a high performer rather than an overachiever. It's about finding the right altitude to maximize our effectiveness and efficiency. The I in air is integration, the flexibility of giving the more demanding parts of life at a particular time more attention by having leeway in the other parts of life. This is done through communication with others around you. Let your family know when you have time to spend with them, or when you don't have time to spend with them and you need to spend extra energy at work, but also have the same communication with work. If your family needs more attention, God forbid, your company should know. Your company will have the flexibility to let you give more attention to your home life. The third and final step is adaptability, or as we know and love it thanks to Cashman, resiliency. Loader instructs us to have 5-year visions and to continually align ourselves with that future self. There is a study that for basketball players, 1 hour of envisioning success was the equivalent of 7 hours of training. Khan believes that we can reverse engineer our stress, know when and why it's coming, and be able to reduce its impact on us, but also with the guidance of Eleanor Roosevelt, doing one thing a day that scares us, begins the process of undergoing hormesis. What doesn't kill you makes us stronger. The R is rejuvenation. When we do this after taking on stress and in order to prepare for the next bout, we will be more resilient. Ting compares us to our smartphones. Are we low on battery and we just need a little more energy to make it through the day? Meditate for 5 minutes. Instead of having that one-on-one meeting, ask them if they want to go on a walk with you. Something as simple as that. Call a loved one. Need a full recharge? You're going to have to start paying more attention to your sleep schedule. Charge your phone overnight. Adults should be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and the majority of adults don't even get 7. How about when our phones need an internal operating system update? We need that every once in a while. So, for us, that's taking a sabbatical. Surrounding yourself with nature. Experience other cultures. We can use these 3 steps to come back from and or avoid burnout. Once we pull ourselves away from the threat of burnout, we need to maintain a balance. But as Emily Bremner points out, we also have to have a healthy relationship with balance, just like we do with stress. Bremner spent years after burnout trying to locate her balance, her center. After trying all sorts of methods, she couldn't find it. It's when she stopped that she knew how aware of her balance she was. Balance is a moving target. It evolves every day. Unfortunately, you can't have the good side without the bad side of the scale. But when you are in touch with your sense of balance, you can harness the beauty of moving through the depths of your dark times in order to see the good again. Balance is a skill that will constantly have to change with the rhythms of life. There will be easier times than others, and we will always have contrasting ideas of who we are and how to be human. But that is the beauty of human being. Once we have harnessed the cycle of burnout, personally, we need to go one step further. This is step number 4. Millions of people are burning out. Personal burnout has societal roots. Social media is telling us that we should desire money, power, popularity, body image, and continue the list. You know what they are. We can only effectively fight burnout together. Why is it so important that burnout is stressed on a societal level? $300 billion is spent on lost productivity, absenteeism, turnover, and health expenditures. This includes death. The Japanese have a term, karoshi, It's death by being overworked. And let's be clear, it's not trades. It's not being on a construction site without a hard hat. It's not being an electrician who got shocked. It's people who sit in front of a computer for hours on end and have things like seizures, strokes, and other related diseases because of how hard and long they're working. One thing that they are doing at a company in Japan, at the end of every workday, they play the Rocky theme song. And then everyone reports to their manager how much more work they're going to do and how much longer they'll be there that day. Vanessa Loder says, when we start to release this pressure that we put on ourselves, it becomes available as energy that can change the world. Alan Tink says, change the world one life at a time with a deep breath using AIR, A-I-R, aspiration, integration, rejuvenation. Remember, in order to care for others, we need to care for ourselves first. Just like we have daily physical hygiene rituals, we need to implement daily mental hygiene rituals, meditation, listing what we're grateful for, undivided attention with loved ones. And these are things, a part of our daily schedule that we need to fight to keep there. They should be our first priority. I will leave you with a well-articulated thought from Hamza Khan. Rethink burnout. Burnout is the absence of fire. Your fire being your passion, your desire, your activity, your fuel, action, and movement. It's the absence of this fire that's the problem. Find your fire. Kindle your fire. Give your fire oxygen. Burn bright and not out. This is the transition from human doing to human being.